Welcome, Mr. Mihály Rosonczy-Kovács. He's International Director at the Nézőpont Institute. Welcome, sir, to TVP World.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's always an honor. Dzień dobry.
Pleasure. Dzień dobry to you. So, Hungary has been vetoing EU resolutions for many months now, most of them to do with sanctions against Russia, provision of weaponry to Ukraine, and so on. Now, the Belgian Foreign Minister, Hajda Lubie, told Politico in an interview that it was now time to trigger Article 7 in its entirety, which would actually take away Hungary's voting rights on EU decisions. How likely do you think that is to happen?
If you allow me a little correction, all the resolutions were taken anonymously, so Hungary was part of the decision maker. And for example, Nicola Procaccini, the MEP of the ECR party, said that ultimately Hungary backed all the decisions. Veto is not the perfect concept. These are decisions that have to be taken anonymously. Hungary has a somewhat different approach on how to address the Russian aggression, but it doesn't mean that it would go against the joint decisions. As for the Article 7, we see that it's more and more like a political tool in the hands of some, let's say, to put it very bluntly, globalist or mainstream politicians. If we consider that the other country that has been threatened by the Article 7 or the procedure was launched had been Poland, and we see that after a political change, no matter that the laws presented by Mr. Adam Bodnar on February are just intentions in the so-called action plan, but are highly improbable that will go into force at least till there is Mr. Andrzej Duda in the presidential palace, shows that it's more a political decision than a legal one. And Prime Minister Viktor Orban and other representatives of the Europe of nations concept hope to gain a larger representance in the European Parliament in order to make Europe more competitive and to focus on integration in those areas where it brings about fruits, and integration is not per se, and such ideas as the rule of law, democracy, freedom of speech are not abused in some political goals. So that's the approach of Fidesz and Viktor Orban. As he says, we are passionate about Europe. We don't want to leave Brussels. We want to take over Brussels. And as for the seventh article, we'll see how far this political motivated, let's say, games can go.
Understood. Sorry, go on.
But I wonder, because we do see that now there are some voices that are challenging the so-called mainstream, and that now Viktor Orban is facing a new serious contender in the upcoming EU elections, and that Péter Magyar's rise, some say that represents a potential shift in Hungarian politics, especially as he criticizes now corruption and propaganda, along with now is trying to appeal to the voters traditionally loyal to Fidesz. So he underscores his discontent, the discontent seen within Hungary. Do you think that we are facing a potential shift in Hungarian politics?
We'll see. Of course, this will be the first election in this weekend where we'll see the real figures behind Péter Magyar. What we see from the opinion polls, that it's a high and a very swift rise, basically from nowhere. But currently he's taking voters from other opposition parties. So till Magyar Péter's arrival, let's say, it was Ferenc Gyurcsány, the leader of the post-communist party Democratic Coalition, that was the strongest party. There was Momentum, a liberal globalist party, so to say. And what we see that since there is Péter Magyar, the Democratic Coalition has lost 2/3 of its voters, and the momentum basically disappeared. So as for now, it's more the phenomenon of Magyar Péter is more like in the series of the so-called messiahs that have been awaited by the opposition voters who had been very frustrated that since 2006, so 18 years, that Fidesz has not lost any elections. So Péter Magyar is changing the opposition landscape so far.
Well, could it be that he hasn't lost any elections because there hasn't been a coherent opposition, which Péter Magyar is actually bringing together at the moment? Because his message does seem to be resonating, and he does come from a Fidesz background. He was with Fidesz before he started this movement, and he says he left because of a series of scandals and economic challenges, and that message seems to be resonating. Would you agree?
That will be the question if he can be or remain on a long run the leader of opposition. His hope was that he would have taken voters or even politicians from Fidesz. This didn't happen, and also he has a quite big disadvantage because his appearance on the political landscape, his career was built on a recording. He was husband of a Fidesz minister, Judit Varga, Minister for Judiciary, Justice Minister, and once he recorded in their kitchen his own wife, mother of their 3 children, and then blackmailed with this recording his wife. And basically by leaking this recording, this was the commence of his career. After this, it's highly questionable that on a serious political level, European politicians, where in European politics or even domestic politics, background discussion, arguments, debates, agreements are very important. Who will take Péter Magyar seriously, or who will be, let's say, brave enough to speak him without being afraid of being recorded if he had done it to his wife. So there are, but surely from nowhere to arrive above 20%. According to Nézőpont's poll, Fidesz is around 47%. Péter Magyar's party, the Tisza party, is even 24, and there is Democratic Coalition with 9 and other small parties. Surely it is an achievement that raised attention. Although if we consider that basically immediately when he appeared, all the so-called globalist media, or not all, but a big part of the globalist media started to back him, giving him all the platforms. It's not that big surprise. It's again a result of not only the voters but also the media being frustrated by the performance of the opposition parties in the last years and decade.
So it's been quite a stir now in Hungarian politics, and I feel like one thing is certain here is that, well, we definitely are going to see the impact of Hungary's internal politics in the EU's presidency, and probably it might impact broader priorities and policies of the European Union. So thank you so much for sharing your insights and showing the political landscape in Hungary.
Bardzo dziękuję. Always an honor.